third video inside this one chapter, and this is where it has got to. The army is out of the corner it started in and strung down a mountain pass in single file, and the objective in the corner has not moved a digit in all that time. 6 enemies. The same 6. Claude Opus 5 picks this up on turn 3, and starts by asking the game which unit still has orders left in it. 35 squares, blue, with an orange hem round the outside of it. Whoever is holding that carries something sharp, and enough ground under them to take it somewhere. There is no gate to seize this time, and no village left to reach. The objective is the men themselves, all 6 of them, so the whole chapter is walking south until they are found, and the ground between here and there narrows to a file. It is a first turn with nothing urgent in it. Nobody is in anybody's reach, no enemy has moved, and the only question on the board is which of 6 units goes first and how far south it gets. The mountains here are not scenery. They are wall for every single unit in this army except one, and they turn a 15-square map into a corridor with a bend in it. Eight presses in a row, 2 right and 6 straight down, all of it decided from one picture and sent before the screen moves. Claude does not get to look again until the last of them has landed. And Claude thinks this is the flyer. That range has been read as Vanessa on her Pegasus, and she is on her way to the one free tile touching the man in the southern corridor. Confirmed. And the menu opens with attack at the top of it, so something is standing next to whoever that is. And then the weapon list comes up, and it settles the question. Steel sword, silver lance, 22 attack, 107 to hit. That is Seth. Claude has spent the last minute and a half calling him a Pegasus Knight, which is a misreading that cost precisely nothing. Claude walked a paladin onto a square chosen for a flyer, and the paladin is the better answer to what is standing there anyway. And here is the box that undid the last video. 2 columns of numbers, and the whole trick of it is which column belongs to who. 10 health on the left under the word Cutthroat, 31 on the right under Seth, 25 to hit against 100. And Claude reads it the right way round. The 10 is his, the 1 point of damage at 1 and 4 is his, and the steel sword ends it in a swing. That layout sent a Pegasus Knight running from a man on 10 last video. Today it is simply read, down, 5 left, and Seth comes out of it at 31 of 31. That rule is in Claude's own notes, written after getting the thing backwards on camera and working out why from a potion the game refused. It has now survived contact with a real forecast, and nothing was made of it at all. Map menu, and every entry on it is a way of not fighting. Unit, status, guide, options, suspend, end. Claude wants the bottom one and the pointer starts at the top, so one press up wraps the highlight round to it. A trick worked out 2 videos ago and not lost since. And the enemy phase pays out immediately. A cutthroat comes up out of the south, swings an iron axe at a paladin, and the numbers on his half of the screen read 25 to hit for 1 point of damage. He misses. Seth's counter goes through him twice, and the objective drops to 4 with nobody having pressed anything. 2 down in 5 minutes, and Opus 5 has pressed the button for one of them, which is a fair description of what a paladin is this early in this game. You put him where they have to come past, and then you let them. Player phase, turn 4. Erika, 16 of 16, and the one unit here that Claude genuinely cannot spend. She's the Lord. If she falls, the chapter is lost, whatever everyone else is doing, which is why she has crossed 2 videos without drawing anything. Her range comes up small and it closes to nothing where the cliffs pinch in. Claude walks her 5 squares to the mouth of the pass and stops her one behind the unit already holding it. Which is the same instinct that has run this whole chapter. Keep her behind somebody. Move the line, never the Lord. Confirmed, and the menu that opens has no attack on it, so nothing hostile is inside her reach. Up once to wrap the highlight onto weight and she holds the ground she just took. That is the Lord's entire contribution to turn 4, and it is the right one. This is the shape of the whole run. Jump to whoever still has orders, read the blue, walk them as far south as the blue goes, take weight. 6 units, 1 at a time, and the pass will not let it go any faster. Which is worth being honest about. This is the 3rd video inside Chapter 2, and a good half of everyone has been walking. The interesting part is not the walking. It is that Claude is walking them in the right order, and that order came off the movement squares. Quiet bit of marching, so one small thing while it lasts. If you're still here, a like is the cheap way of saying so, and it helps this find the sort of person who will sit through a mountain pass. Right. Next rider up, and his blue spills past the last of Claude's units and out onto open ground where 2 of the 4 are still moving about. So there's a choice here. It has not had all chapter. There's enough range to put a horse in front of a brigand, and Claude declines and steps him 1 square short alongside the man already down there. 2 together beats 1 alone. 1 horse sent at 2 axes is how a cavalier dies in this game, and Claude has read that off the shape of the movement squares. Confirmed, and the menu comes back with item and weight and nothing else, which is the game agreeing. Nothing is in reach of him. He is not in reach of anything. Weight taken first. Ask. Up once and confirm. This army spent most of a video failing at that 1 press 2 runs ago, and it has not missed it once today. Next in the queue, and this one is unmistakable from the range alone, 20 squares and the shape of a postage stamp. Gilliam. 25 health, an iron lance, and a suit of plate that eats most of his movement. He is the hardest thing here to kill, and the slowest thing here to arrive. Three squares straight down, as far as the plate will carry him, and his entire turn goes on catching up rather than on arriving anywhere. That is the quiet cost of a unit built like that. He is very hard to kill, and he is never where the killing is. Rescue, item, trade, wait. No attack, so the armor has nothing to do this turn either. 9 minutes gone, 4 enemies left, and both of the ones that have gone went down to the same sword within a square of each other. The rest of this map has not been visited by anybody. And now a range that does not look like any of the others. 92 squares. Mountains, cliffs, the lot. Vanessa on the Pegasus. 92 against Gilliam's 20, and the difference is not speed. It is that she never has to go around anything. Which is why Claude reaches for her whenever something needs doing at the far end of the board. 7 presses, 3 west and 4 down, over a ridge nobody else can cross, onto a square touching the nearer of the 2 men out west. There is a real question under that. She is the fastest thing on this map and one of the softest, and both of the men she is landing beside carry axes. "17 health, a lance, and the weapon triangle running the wrong way. An axe beats a lance, and there are 2 axes. Last video, Claude got round exactly this by refusing to stand her next to anybody, and throwing the javelin from 2 squares out where an axe cannot answer. The javelin is still in her pack. Attack and the weapons come up. Javelin at the top, 19 draws left, 11 damage at 81 to hit. A javelin is the only thing in that pack that reaches 2 squares. Standing right beside a man with an axe is the one place where it stops being special. And Claude knows off it one entry down to the slim lance, on the reasoning that the lighter weapon will let her strike twice. Which brings up the second forecast of the day. 20 health on his side and an axe that lands 8 at 2 and 3. Her slim lance connects about a third of the time. 2 of his and she's in real trouble. And Claude reads this one correctly as well, and then does what the last video could not manage off the same screen. Backs out. Free presses back. Out of the forecast, out of the weapons, out of the menu, and the move undone with it, which puts her on the ridge with her turn still in hand. That is the entire purpose of a forecast. And it is the first time this campaign has used 1 to call a fight off with the numbers the right way round. Last video, that box sent her running from a man she could have killed. Today it is telling her the truth, and she goes anyway. "16 turns in, and the Pegasus Knight still has not attacked anybody. She keeps arriving at fights that are not worth having. Six presses the other way. 4 east and 2 north, out of axe reach and back behind Claude's own line. And the reasoning is a square better than it looks. Not out of their reach where they stand. Out of their reach after they have marched and swung, which is a bigger circle. Confirmed, weight taken, and she sits down behind the shields with nothing to show for the turn except a fight she talked herself out of. Which is worth more than it sounds. There's nothing else in this army that can cross that ridge, and a slim lance against 2 axes was going to end badly from the first swing. "13 minutes, and the board looks very much as it did at 8. 4 enemies, nobody on Claude's side hurt, and 1 more unit still in the queue. Last unit with orders in the whole army, and it comes up with a border round its squares that is not the orange every other one has had. Claude calls that color gold. On the screen it is green. Either way, Claude takes the right meaning off it. That is the staff, and this is the priest. Molder. The last video ended on this exact discovery, off this exact color, and here is Claude arriving at it again from a standing start. Because none of it was written down. The notes this session began from are 2 runs old, and they still explain the man's problem as a cliff edge. He steps 1 square left, tucked in behind the others, and the menu opens, and that is the last thing this Claude ever does. This Claude has run out of turns. 33 of them in the next session inherits the game with nothing in hand but a file, the last one never touched. Ha! So the menu just sits there. Rescue, item, trade, supply, wait. 40 seconds of a question with nobody left in the room to answer it. And here is the replacement, reading a page written 2 runs ago by a Claude that had never laid eyes on this unit. Claude backs out of the menu, takes the move back, and starts walking him southwest, and calls him the Knight. Which is exactly what the notes say. Gilliam is the one still unspent, according to a list that was wrong when it was written, and has now been handed on twice. 2 more down and confirm, and he is planted at the southwest corner of his range, out in front of everybody, between this army and the 2 men on the western cliff. Which would be a fine square for an armored knight. 25 health, full plate, an iron lance, precisely the thing you put in front of axes. It is not an armored knight. The menu beside him has no attack on it, again, and the game has been saying so since the color came up around his feet. Item, trade, wait. Up once and he holds the forward square. And then the cursor moves off him, and the nameplate answers it. Molder, priest, 20 of 20, no weapon of any description, standing further forward than anybody else in this army, on open grass with 2 axes to the west of him. Claude sees it at once and says the right thing about it. He is exposed, he cannot fight, put a fighter between him and them, which is the correct answer to a problem Claude created 90 seconds ago, off a note that was already wrong. So Claude goes looking for one, and what comes up is wide and blue with a red hem washing over both of the men on the cliff. Three west and 1 up, onto the square beside the nearer of them, which is the first time in this run that Claude has moved somebody towards a fight rather than away from one. Confirmed, and attack is sitting at the top of the menu again. Seth, steel sword, 16 uses left on it, 22 attack against men who carry 20 health. Claude takes the sword and confirms the forecast in the same breath, both presses sent together, on the reasoning that swords beat lances. Which is true and is not what he is fighting. The man on that square is another cutthroat with an iron axe. A sword beats an axe too, so the conclusion survives the reason given for it. $18 a swing, twice, into 20 health. Down and 3 left. That was the last unit with orders, so the turn ends by itself and the board goes over to the other side. And this fight is not Claude's. Ross, on the green side, 8 health and a hatchet. The iron axe facing him does 10. So the arithmetic only runs one way, and it runs it once. I am a warrior to the very end. And that is Ross gone. On the same phase, the last man on the western edge walks into Seth at 5% to hit for 0 damage and dies on the counter. 2 left. Nobody was ever commanding Ross. He and the other green villager have been fighting on this army side since the chapter opened, and neither of them was asked to. Claude's account of the last 40 seconds is that the battle is over and the map is back, which is true, and it is the whole of it. Claude could not see any of that. There was a turn being written while it happened, and what came back was a map with 2 fewer red units on it and 1 fewer green one. Two left, and the cursor has landed on Erika with no movement squares under her. Claude reads that correctly as a press that did not take. So Claude sends the A again, and this time she comes up. Neither of the last two is standing next to anything she can reach, so there is no fight here for the Lord. 1 east and 3 south with a stronger unit left between her and them. Which is the call Claude has made with her on every turn of this video, and it is the right one every time. She is worth more standing still than anybody else here is worth swinging. "20 minutes, 4 dead, all 4 to the same man, 2 of them on Claude's press and 2 on their own initiative. And the only casualty on this side of the field belonged to nobody. One more aside while she settles. If you want to know whether these last 2 ever go down, subscribing is how the next one finds you. Right, back to it. Item, trade, supply, wait, and 2 red units visible further down the slope. Up once, confirm, and she holds. "2 minutes left in this run, and there is no clock anywhere on Claude's side of the screen. As far as Claude knows, this chapter has all afternoon. Next unit up, and the red hem on his squares covers the enemy soldier 2 tiles east of him, which is a fight offered on the last unit of the last full turn. Franz, Cavalier, and the man who took 8 points off an axe last video for the first damage this army had suffered in 3. 1 square east onto a brown path tile beside him. An attack comes up at the top of the menu. He is on 16 of 20, 4 more than he finished the last video on, and nobody has touched him. He has been sitting on a fort, and a fort hands back a 1/5 of a unit's health every turn it holds it. Iron Lance or Iron Sword, and the sword is the one that beats an axe. 14 attack, 91 to hit, and 1 press between here and the forecast. And this is the shot the whole run has been walking towards. 2 enemies left, a Cavalier stood next to one of them, weapon list open, 1 press from a fight. And Claude backs out of it. 3 presses, out of the weapons, out of the menu, and out of the move itself. Because Claude knows this is the end of the run and wants a clean board to save on. So the square goes back, the attack goes back, the last fight of the video goes back with them. 2 left, where there were 6, all 4 of them to Seth, and the only loss on this side of the field was the 1 man nobody was commanding. Turn 5, Sage on the spot, with 2 men left alive.